fun setup. And, you know, I get to introduce one of my great friends who's done some really cool stuff. So before we jump in, what I want to do is just talk about a few things. And Amber, you can help me out with this as far as announcements and stuff going on, because we've got a bunch going on this month with both market centers. So I may have Amber and Amy jump in just to fill us in. However, one of the big things I want to touch on is we have Bold coming. And we've been working as Bold coaches to create a program that we get to deliver digitally and yet is much more, resembles much more what we did in the room. So there will be a teams. You guys will be broken into teams. There's going to be high accountability. There's going to be expectations for contacts, for ads to the database, all of those fun pieces to really help you grow your business and expand it. So we're super excited about that. That does roll out on the 19th of January. It'll be on Tuesdays, and it's a 3-hour course. That's it. So it'll be 3 hours on Tuesdays. 6 weeks is what we're going to run. We will skip the week of family reunion to make sure that you guys have that opportunity as well. Amber just posted the link in the comments, so feel free to grab that. What I'm going to ask though is it is invite only. So it's an internal link. It's not out for public consumption. It's a whopping $2.99. So one of the things that MAPS asks us to do is to do this program for $2.99, at least this one go around. I can tell you based on our conversations, they're actually going to increase that price as we move forward. So this will be one of the cheapest ways for you to get access to it. So sign up today. Let's have some fun with that. Enjoy it. It's going to be great. The other thing we do have is family reunion. I believe tickets are still available at $109. This is going to be a great opportunity for you to see what we're all about. Typically, you've got to fly somewhere. I think this year we were set up to fly to Vegas and do it in Vegas. It costs 3 to 5 times what you're able to do it for this week with $109. So jump in. You're going to get all the great content. You're going to get access to the breakouts, all those fun pieces. And in my opinion, I've attended family reunion now for 10, 11 years straight. It has been one of the greatest events where I've been able to mastermind, get to know other great people like Lucas and his team, and really, really dig deep into systems and models and what's working and who's doing what so that I can continue to grow my business to the point where we've done today. So that's that. Any questions on Bold or family reunion that I can answer before we have Henry give us a quick update on what's going on in the mortgage world? Awesome. Well, I guess we did good. So, Mr. Henry, if you jump in, tell us a little bit about the mortgage world. What are you seeing? What's going on? Where are we at? Is he on? That's the question. Maybe I popped in too early.
I think he's on the phone. You can probably hear him better than I can.
Most likely. So we'll have him pop in here towards the end then and give us a quick update.
Don't forget Lucy Parker.
What's that?
Lucy Parker.
I lost you.
Same group. Lucy Parker from Dubai.
Oh yes, Lucy. Lucy from Dubai is another friend of mine who I got to know at Mega Camp, and then she attended Bold in Houston with me. She is the queen of referral networking and marketing. Most of her business actually comes through the KW referral network. So she's going to talk about how she's maximized both Facebook and social media to be able to drive those referrals into Dubai and help her build that business. Super cool, super talented individual. Thrilled to have her as a part of our meetings, and she'll be here in our meeting, the last meeting of this month in January. So with that, put your hands up, put your hands together. We've got Lucas Howard here from the great, beautiful Grand Rapids, Michigan. So Lucas, give us a little update on what's going on both in your guys' world, and tell us about yourself.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. And New Year. My name's Lucas Howard, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Heck, I think it's snowier here than you guys, unless you're right in the mountains. But Yeah, geez, 2020 has been a whirlwind, but a little bit about myself. I run a team. I've been in license for, my assistant just said 17 years, but full-time real estate since 2012 was really my first full-time year, where I was just focusing on real estate, and added first team member 2014. And fast forward, we sold just over 300 homes this year for 73 million. Mind you guys, I love you all, and you disgust me with your average price points. I just had to throw that out there. Our average listing price is 249, which is up significantly this past year, and buy side's about 228, to give you guys an idea. It's myself, my wife, 5 buyer's agents. I've kept consistent 5 buyer's agents for 5 years. We have a few showing partners, a couple ISAs, executive assistants, marketing director, and as of Monday, we have 15 interns. That's big in our world, and they're free. They do a lot for us. We use that leverage. But yeah, geez, this past year, I can't even see everybody. I'd ask you to raise all your hands. I mean, across the country, we obviously faced a lot, but I'm going to say Michigan, I was jealous of you guys, and most states. We were shut down non-essential for almost 3 months, just shy of 3 months. What that looked like, we could go get groceries and go home. We couldn't show homes. We couldn't anything. So talk about a dent in your plans for the year. That was a major dent. Having said that,
So I want to slow this down for just
yeah,
a second.
Yeah.
So when you say you were non-essential, I don't know about you all. When we first received the first orders from the governor, we were non-essential for all of like 3 days, meaning we couldn't do anything. We had to stay home, blah, blah, blah. The Colorado Association of Realtors went to bat, got that changed for us so that we could at least have limited services available. You know, if you remember, we couldn't do photography. We couldn't go see people in their houses. We couldn't show homes. However, we could sell them. And what I want you to know is Lucas and his team were in a moment where they couldn't do this for 3 months. So think about that for a minute. If you had to survive for the next 3 months without any closings, and you're operating a team the size of Lucas's team, you got to figure things out. So the reason why I've got Lucas here is because, Lucas, we asked you to come and talk to our team, Roxanne and Keith and I, and you came in and you shared some great information with our team about how you guys worked through that. We actually stole some of your ideas with the photography and mailing out the cameras and doing those types of things, shared them with this group as well. So how did you, number one, what did your team do during those 3 months? Number two, how did you get through it?
Yeah. We Zoomed all day long, and I will tell you I'm going to skip to the end. The biggest takeaway was, or the biggest win is, to this date, our morning huddles are, what can we do differently? What do we need to shift and pivot to take territory we're not? Because even coming out of this, I mean, our inventory levels are with yours or lower. That's our reality now after this. And we were still winning. So, I mean, I'll share some of that. Jake hit.
How many listings did you take after you came out of the lockdown?
Oh my gosh. I should have had those numbers ready. We caught up to all of last year's, which I think was 150 some taken, not all sold yet. They carried into this year. But that's part of what I'd want to share, and I think you guys would benefit from, even being shut down, how many listings we took. Not seeing a home, not going on a listing appointment, overcoming the sellers of, hey, I don't want to put my house up and take my own photos. We still, during that period, had 17 pendings. Mind you, in that period, that's usually half of what we have. And I can honestly say I've never worked so hard in my life, gotten so creative. We were daily readjusting our scripts and our role plays And we still do it in this market with a low inventory, which you all should be too. How do you get to overcome? How do you bring peace to the market and those people? So if you're not tweaking your scripts and role playing, get on it, because that's a big part of taking territory in this market. I'll tell you that.
There's a bold law that says focus on the plan, not the problem. It kind of sounds like that's what you did over the course of those 3 months to ensure you had that opportunity.
That's it. Okay, so we had people that needed to sell, yet we can't take photos. I mean, I'm researching. I'm not going to send my, Matterport cameras. As you pointed out, we got less expensive cameras and shipped them and walked clients through it. The next phase is the governor opened up and would let home inspectors you go through homes, but buyers still couldn't, meaning we had to write blind offers, or I was paying my home inspector to do a pre-inspection on a home, and then he was taking pictures. Our governor caught on to that because that grew, nipped that in the bud, and then we had to have, once it was under contract. So we kept having to daily shift and pivot to the market and all the issues. And that's going to carry on with us for a long time. And we are, while other people slipped, we're going to continue to take market share, and did coming out of it, just because we were willing to constantly analyze and ask. Remember Gary said to us, was that when the market shifts, the winners are the ones that strive to change and adapt as quickly as they can. How do you build a business that can withstand future meteors in crisis? We took that Gary question and put it on our walls. And that's what we ask ourselves. How do we need to shift? How do we pivot? I could keep going on our struggles during that time frame. Having said that, coming out of that, I will tell you, and you probably heard all through that, focus on your database. Focus on your database. You heard it from everybody, whether you did it or not. I'll tell you my personal story. I'm mostly out of production. However, I'll back up. My first year of real estate, I sold 36 homes, 100% from my database. And that was calling through my database A to Z. So my coach told me to do, and that was it. I'm not going to go deeper into that, but fast forward, here I run a large team, and we got away from that. My people were getting called, twice a year, maybe quarterly, if we reached them. I called no less than 5 or 6 hours a day, calling through my database. I personally pulled 26 people from my database during that period that were either ready as soon as this lifts or later this year, which we listed 26, and that was me. However, that took me doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on time, because what else do you have to do? If you don't have the inventory, you don't have the buyers and sellers, what else do you have to do? Make it happen.
So instead of taking 3 months of vacation, you actually worked.
Oh my gosh, I've never worked so hard. I would never work so hard. Jake, I don't like to be cheesy and go back to, but I know what my why is. My why was sitting in the other room, staring at you through my French glass doors. No choice. I was going to make it. And I tell this to you guys, not for bragging rights. And I'm not afraid to cry, but I'm getting a little emotional. We finished out 4 months. Mind you got my average price point with over 300,000 in GCI for our team. That does not look like that for the team on our left or our right in our market center, sadly, because we did what we needed to be done and continually adjusted coming out of that. We built such a massive wall around our database and built a pipeline that finished strong. Now we came out of this and our inventory got even weaker. I understand you guys have just as bad as we do. There's areas where we have 2.2 months. You know how many days that is? And as a whole, you take in West Michigan, which is a larger area, and take some of the less desirable areas, it's 0.8. And that's our high. So there is nothing. So you guys
are a very similar market to us then, where we've got less than a month's worth of inventory.
Yeah.
Meaning if not another listing hit the market, we would be out of houses to sell by the end of the month.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Some of our hot areas, it's 0.2 months. It goes up, it's out. You have no chance.
So what do those conversations sound like today? Now that you're reaching out to your database, let's go here first. What systems and processes have you put in place? And what do the conversations sound like?
That's good. We added a lot. In fact, Jake, we went back to things we did earlier on that worked, that somehow they were so small or so stupid in our minds we got away from and focused on calling our leads or whatever else. I'll share an email with you, and I'll share a letter we sent out that cost us a stamp coming out of this, because even those that we got on the phone, there was a lot of people we didn't get on our phone in our database during that time frame. Plus, now we're out of the lockdown. When our pipeline was built up because of that, and we asked ourselves, how do we reach those people that we didn't reach before on the phone? Can I screen share? Yeah. Amber's saying it.
You should be able to.
Let's see. Oh, I gotta get here. This is the simplest thing, but this came out of our huddle of, let me find it. So I guess this came out of our huddle of asking ourselves, all right, how do we reach the people in the database that we hadn't gotten a hold of? And this is an email I'm about to show you. Let me share screen. And share. This is an email and a response. You got it?
Yep.
Okay. This is an email that we sent out to our database. Simple. Dear Lee, would you consider selling your home to a buyers of ours? We look forward to hearing from you. It looks like it came from me personally. My marketing director sent it out to our entire database, and this guy responded today. I've gotten 16 responses in the last 2.5 weeks, and we're slowly emailing them out just because we don't want to send out 3,000 emails at once. But 16 so far. Hand-raising people. Simple.
And those are listings, right? When you talk about 16?
We went, 16 listings. Either they raised their hand, yeah, I'd be interested. They may have called us eventually, Jake, or maybe they wouldn't have, because some of these are going back to my early career. But we emailed, we're going through and emailing every single person, just asking the simple thing, okay, it's coming from me. 16 people raised their hand and said, yeah, I'd be interested, or hey, we're talking about it this summer.
And this is going to your entire database, right? This isn't just going to people that you remember or know. This is going to everybody. Everybody.
Because of email limitations, we're slowly emailing some of the batches out. And yes, so a little over 2 weeks, I have 16 hand raisers from this. We already have listings. And again, this is something that we used to occasionally do years ago to our database. We communicate with our database majorly, but just coming out with a simple message like this, and it was actually my match coach who's like, hey, you're doing this, which I'll hit on in a minute. You're doing this for neighborhoods. Why not do it to your database? And I was like, what? I haven't done that forever. And it used to work. So again, how can we take territory? I'll put it this way. So I'm honored and blessed, like Jake, to visit with a lot of market centers across the country. And I usually start off by asking, what's the number one issue or problem do you see in your market? And everyone says it's inventory. When I go in and ask questions, and I'm sure you know the same, they're the same, just like my market center is the same if I ask this question. Lack of listings. We all know listings control the inventory, especially in a tight market like this. Yet someone else, that's not the problem. I challenge you guys, it's mindset of, hey, someone's out there getting that inventory. Why isn't it you? And how can it be you? What can you do in addition to what you're doing now to reach and touch more people? This was one thing we came up with, and it's already paying back huge.
So slow down and ask those questions again, because my MAPS coach, my mentors have always said, it's not about what you say, it's about the questions you ask yourself that help you find that next solution. So what were some of those questions you guys kept asking that allowed you to find these solutions?
Well, that's good. I mean, going back to the beginning of the first one, every single morning was, what systems and processes do we need to change to adapt to this market? Second question, every single morning, and there were some days we came up with nothing, or sometimes it was a tiny tweak in a role player script. Second question was, how do we get in front of those sellers to take that inventory where we're not now? I mean, we were already calling for sub-owners and expireds if there was any, but how else can we get in? other people are listing homes, albeit there's not many listings out there. How can we take that territory? And day by day, we came up with small little tweaks that have worked. I mean, between this and the last 2.5 weeks and the other letter I'm going to show you, I mean, I think we're at 11 listings in the last month and a half just from these two. And these just rolled out. The other letter we're sending basically the same thing, which I'll show you, to neighborhoods. That's big. If you pulled one, you took just this one strategy and pulled one listing out, what would that do for you?
With our average price point, it'd be nice.
Yeah, I bet. Let me,
you know, and it comes back. I love how you say it. It starts off with the mindset, right? One of the things Gary says often, it's actually on my t-shirt, is that it takes a new mindset to create new solutions. And that's really where it starts, is understanding that we could easily have said, hey, we had 3 months, right? Hey, October 31st, we had Halloween. 3 weeks later is Thanksgiving. So why work too hard right now? Then just after that is the holiday season. And then you got the first of the year. So I'll get back to work in like February. And how many of us have heard our sellers say, hey, I will list in the spring. Well, when does the spring start? Right? When you back that up, the spring starts right now. And if we're not in front of those potential sellers today that want to list in February or March, we're going to miss that opportunity. So Lucas, another thing that I've said, and you can either confirm or deny this, is do you feel in your market, if you had more listings, you'd actually have more transactions done?
Oh, it's a fact. I mean, yeah, go back to list to last, but when you have the listings, you control, you guys know it, you control everything. I mean, right now, would you rather have a listing? And it may take more effort to get a listing. How much more effort is it taking you to take a one buyer out to lose out on 10 offers because it's so competitive? I mean, I ask myself that all the time. I'd rather put that extra effort into a listing that I may gain a buyer through. They may buy another home plus gain another buyer through if done right. And then guess what? That gives me an opportunity to circle prospect around that, take those extra buyers or leads that came around and go forward, which turns into our next letter that I was referring to. So I'd rather put triple time into getting a listing.
So for those folks who have teams and work on teams as buyer's agents, how has that mindset helped your buyer's agents?
That's awesome. So that's actually a really good question. And you guys should know, not all teams work the way. I mean, we're a one thing focused team, a team of specialists. Our buyer's agents focus on buyers and our sellers that. And we just, still to this day, our culture is we share, we hand off. Having said that, our buyer agents have buyers, Jake, and no listings. Similar problem, right? So, okay, what if they were to prospect for their buyers, circle prospecting and sending out these same I have a buyer letters to neighborhoods? What do you think is going to come out of that? They may put their buyer together with a house, which we do all the time. And I'll never go back to not doing this. And two, they're getting hand raisers for listings, which then gives them, well, in the past, we give them, you know, we still can't do open houses, but would give them other opportunities. And when we sell their home, they get another buyer. So, I mean, that's our mindset of our buyer's agents. And they're doing the same thing we are, picking up the phone, prospecting for their buyers. And the result is they're finding their buyers' homes. They're gaining the team inventory for listing, which is giving everybody more opportunities and then more buyers in the end. Working as a unit. So
when we look at the base, right, of what we've been taught, it's about leads, listings, and leverage. And as you look at your business, I know you guys do this at a high level. How do you leverage your listings to get more listings?
Leverage listings to get more listings?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the first thing we do and opt even further in this market, because what couldn't we do even during the downtime? We couldn't leave our house. So on top of our database, we were circle prospecting, checking on them, you know, as the neighborhood. They live in our community, for gosh sakes. And I had amazing conversations with those people. We took that and kept that rolling afterwards. Jake, and if I have a listing, I'm calling around that listing. I'm mailing those people. Cost me a stamp. Might be 200 homes in that area. What can we do inexpensively? because that was the other half. We cut our budget a lot this year to do. The major thing was kind of inappropriate. The door knock around COVID wasn't too welcome. So circle prospect, easiest conversations we ever had, and we upped our game on circle prospecting this year, and we'll continue to do so. And that alone is, everyone's curious what a home's worth, but we're getting a lot of hand raisers from that. Or, hey, I'm thinking about down the road. Great, I've got a nurture. So I was saying, coming out of COVID, our pipeline has continued to grow and grow and grow and grow. Well, other people did sadly take months off. And I don't blame them. You know, at the same time, I'm going to be in this business a long time. And I'm planting those seeds now, building that base and that foundation to have a long-term career of success, not only for myself, my team, and the people in my world. But yeah, to answer that question, circle prospecting is the number one for us right now.
So what does that script sound like? Because you guys are making calls, obviously, because you're not able to go out and door knock in this situation still, or hold open houses. What's that conversation sound like when you make that call?
Mrs. Jones? Yes. Hi, this is Lucas Howard from Keller Williams, Grand Rapids. I'm just simply calling. We just listed one of your neighbors' homes on 123 Main Street. One, I know everybody's always curious what they sold for. Having said that, I know you know it's a hot market. Do you know anyone looking to move into your neighborhood? It's a popular neighborhood. No, I don't, whatever else. We actually have a lot of buyers in the area as well. Have you or any of your neighbors ever thought about selling? Well, I'm going to die in this house, or yeah, actually, my kid graduates this year and blank. It's an easy, simple conversation. Nothing more than that. And it turns into that. And honestly, we're usually still checking on them. Are you okay? Are you doing okay? Jake, there was people that we found that, hey, they were elderly, scared. We sent them groceries. I mean, whatever that we found in our community. Those blessings are going to come back 100-fold on that. Those conversations are that simple. Do you know how many people we line up?
Did you have to think twice? When you look at sending groceries out or helping somebody in that manner, right? Or even through the holidays, stepping up as you guys have done, did you have to think twice about that? Or was that something you just had, you were at liberty to do because it was the right thing to do?
It's the right thing to do. You know me a little bit personally. Again, I won't cry. I love people. I care about people. This is where I live. This is my community. Let alone being my fellow man or woman. So no, I am calling back my business. I identified a need in the community. We'll still make those calls. And if somebody says, hey, I can't even get out to get groceries because we've got 2 feet of snow in our driveway, I'm going to be the guy that's out there either shoveling or plowing. And I'm not afraid to say, Jake, that it's part of the reason my business is blessed.
So Gary says money is good for the good it can do. And the reason you're able to do those things without thinking twice about the cost, or is it tax deductible, or is it through a nonprofit, is because you've created the success that you have with your business.
It's fact.
So
yeah.
What I want y'all to hear though is that's why this is so important. I mean, our average commission in Denver is like 12 to 14 grand. And when you think about it that way, how many transactions does it take for you to be able to live a life, just like what Lucas explained, where somebody has a challenge, somebody has a circumstance, and you're able to step in because you're able to do so, because you've created that type of wealth, you've created that type of cash flow, that type of business that supports those opportunities, right? When Gary says money is good for the good it can do, that's what he means. So you said that there's another email you sent out, Lucas.
Yeah. So, it tackles right onto the, and again, this was something we used to do for years and just kind of got away from it. But we're circle prospecting around to get more sellers or find buyers for our buyers. And it costs us a stand. Why are we not targeting around our listings? We may not be able to door knock or do something else. Let me find this and share.
As Lucas is pulling that up, if you've got questions you'd like to ask, feel free to put them in the chat. so that we can address some of those questions as well.
Pretty sure this is it. Looks simple, right? My coach said, don't overthink it, which I'm known to overthink something. And my wife hits me in the head every single day and saying, perfection doesn't equal prosperity, Lucas. Perfection doesn't equal prosperity. You know, just send it. My coach is like, don't overthink it. This letter coming out of COVID has yielded us. I'd have to look it up. I know it's at least 150,000 in GCI. For you guys, that would be a lot more, a lot more. Sending this out around our listings. Stamp. We have our free interns do it. My kids were raising money for something, and we paid them to stamp and send these out. The outside was handwritten. Doesn't have to be, but we wanted to look like it, you know, came from us and wanted to open it up. That's simple. And in fact, looking at this, there's 10 things right now that I would change. And again, I'm like, it's sloppy. Lucas and Melissa Howard, realtor, blah, blah, blah. That looks mad. And my coach and my wife said, you know what? That's even better. And the reactions and calls we've got from this, people are curious, do you really have a buyer? Well, we've got buyers everywhere. You know, where this go out to? Or someone in our market center does, I guarantee you. But obviously they contacted us. They're curious and thinking about selling. So something so simple. What are you not doing that you can add on, like these two things I gave you, these alone, just to get one more sale? Find a home for that buyer that's missed out on how many homes now, and gain market share. Oh, I can't hear you for some reason, Jake.
I'm on mute. That was awesome. They're simple strategies, and yet what systems have you put in around it to ensure that they become consistent?
That's good. Those are good because that backs up. So what, even if we did this once, what's going to do it again? We did it for 2 weeks and we got busy. And then I was like, whoa, it's working. Why are we stopping? Or actually, I back up. My coach put us in check. He's like, you're still mailing those out, right? It's been a huge success. And I'm like, oh crap, it's been 2 weeks since we did that. He's like, why do you stop it? So again, goes in our time block and we have it down. You know, okay, who's going to do it? Who's going to mail the stamp? You're getting your child to do it. Are you carving out time to do this? It doesn't show it in here, but we usually have, everybody in my team knows my signature. It's pretty unique, but they'll go in hand sign it and then do the outside. So it's carved out in time in the right person's calendar. And these are going out nonstop. And the amount of hand raisers, this is yielding us. And we're a team that used to just crush it with for sale by owners and expireds. Market's a little different now. A few less expireds, and for sale by owners, heck, we're selling. So we needed to gain that market share in a different way and get in front of a different way. People were listing homes and we're getting to these people before someone else.
That's awesome. Hey, would you do us a favor and shoot those 2 letters over to Amber just so she can share them? Are you willing to do that?
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome. So a couple of quick questions in the chat. What were your subject lines? As you sent that out in email, how did you grab their attention?
What does this one say? Hang on. Would you be interested in selling your home?
Pretty simple.
Simple. I mean, that was that. Would you be interested in selling your home? People were curious. It came from me personally. People were curious and opened it up and looked at the 2 sentences. You know.
And then interns. How many interns do you have?
The most we've ever had, and we have 15 now.
And how did you find them? How do you use them? How do they enhance your business?
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
This is something, we had our first intern in 2015. My personal business was growing and I didn't know if I could afford. I was still learning how to hire people at that point. We started off way overpaying interns. However, fast forward now, I'll give you, because a lot of cut corners, handshake.com. Handshake.com. Put it out there. You're a single agent? I don't care. Hire 6 of them. Put one out for marketing. Put one out for financials. These kids are wizards. And I wish I could hire 2/3 of the ones that come through our door and interview them. Don't just hire anybody. But so you guys understand they need to do this for credits. Now, fast forward, I have somebody that's been out of school for 2 years, saw a reputation in the community, thought about getting in real estate, does some videography, and was looking to get in real estate. He used this as a way to get in front of us. This kid has been the biggest servant since he started 2 weeks ago, right before Christmas. Asking to personal shadow me, was my chauffeur for a day. And I applaud him because he got to ask me 1,000,001 questions. That's not normal. But figure out what you want them to do. And each one adds on, initially created a playbook for what they were doing. So the next one comes in 6 months, they're picking up where the last one left off with the to-do tasks, and then adding on to it. But handshake.com is what we use.
And that's free, correct?
Free.
So for those of us who are worried about being able to afford an assistant or an ISA or you name it, this is an opportunity and an option.
All these kids are hungry.
They're ready and they're excited. So when you send these letters out, there's another question in there. Do you return include your return address?
I'm there, yeah.
Yep. And because of the successes you have this year, I know your story. I know what's happened. However, tell these folks, because you stayed focused, because you asked those questions and continued to create the results you did, what else showed up in your world?
A lot of opportunity. In fact, I was told when I came to Keller Williams, and if I pivoted, took out my background and showed you guys these giant sticky notes, the next 10 years of my goals are mapped out all over in my office. When I came over to KW, I'll never forget, he said, you will have opportunity, just be prepared for the opportunity when it does come. And part of my daily affirmations from that point on was opportunities will come my way, was one segment of my morning affirmations. It wasn't long until opportunities were just constantly, what you focus on expands. I know you guys probably hear that a lot, and it's true. I started focusing on opportunity, and opportunities started coming my way that I couldn't even take advantage of financially. I wasn't prepared for, and that's fine. To me, there's good ideas and God ideas and timing. However, that made me hunker down and focus to be prepared for those opportunities. And that friend of mine, he wasn't wrong. And it wasn't long, it was a few years where more and more opportunities started to come. I will tell you this past year, while it was a year of struggle and even heartache in some ways, from some circumstances, it was a year of blessing because my wife and I love her, she's around here somewhere, hunkered down and focused on our goals and focused on taking territories. Jake says, this funds other things of our lives. We have a giving goal. Man, I am getting a little emotional. We have a giving goal every year. We have an investment goal every year. For years, I helped create millionaires by helping them buy apartment buildings and everything where I couldn't take advantage. My wife and I were blessed to buy an 18-unit building this year, which is huge for us. So it changed my family's life, as well as many other opportunities. So opportunities are there. Be prepared for them. Everybody wants them. What are you willing to do in the meantime to get yourself to be prepared for that? Spiritually, mentally, maybe even physically, and more importantly, in your business. And do your actions daily, weekly, and monthly line up for those future goals and opportunities?
So you were able to take advantage of the market, pick up an 18-unit apartment complex, which for somebody else who's an investor, love that. Just recently, you became the OP of a market center, correct?
That is correct. It's even more special. It's a tiny little market center. It's at a little resort town, if you will, in Michigan. It's northern Michigan. There's no other market center near it. And it's my hometown. Moved when I was younger, and I married a woman who her family's all up there. So if I'm sneaking away, if it's not the Caribbean, or out to you guys to ski and stay in Jake's Airbnb, I'm up there. And that was a long-term goal. And the timing came at the right time. And honestly, again, God's timing. I'll say there's good ideas and God ideas. I almost moved on this opportunity in 2015, and it was not a God idea at the time. It was a good idea. I didn't do it. Fast forward, Gary opens up the ability to recruit independents. And I don't know if any of you guys take profit share seriously. I do. It's changed my life. I basically work at Keller Williams for free. That money goes into an account. Honestly, my wife and I call it a memory account, because that goes to fund our whole year. Every single year is planned out to create memories with our family. It's my passion. People are like, what's your hobby, Lucas? It's creating memories. Could be long weekends or special dates with the kids, or, hey, we're all picking up and going to the Caribbean. It's funded from that memory account. Tying it back to the market center, the reason I said yes now is Gary opened up the opportunity to recruit independents. We call it IMAO offices. The reason I'm sharing with this is because who do you know in your market that maybe is an independent, prides themselves on that would be powered, minus that, would be willing to be powered by KW. I started picking up the phone and took this opportunity and called and say, hey, I applaud you. I love your brand. You've done a phenomenal job growing your business. Would you be interested in a conversation to still keep your identity, but be powered by KW and all it has to offer? Would that be of interest? I handed that conversation over to my TL. And actually next week, Gary Keller himself is having a conversation with a $300 million producer in Northern Michigan, which is unheard of. So that's a little plug because I'm passionate about profit share. What's that?
So profit share makes the difference. You're working for free. You guys are paying for great vacations. By the way, if you want to see some of the stuff Lucas and his family have done, go follow him on Facebook. Because you've been to Belize this year, you've gone to the Caribbean. You guys have done some pretty incredible things.
Yeah, we're very intentional. The same with my business. We're very intentional with that.
And then which town in Northern Michigan? Where you at?
Traverse City, Michigan. Traverse City. It's right on the fresh coast, we call it.
So Traverse City, Michigan, you also bought a vacation home.
Correct. It was I've had this search set up for myself for 9 years. God, you're gonna get me emotional again. I grew up on this lake, 6 houses down, and the home was lost. Sad story. And fast forward, it's a lake that it's a hidden gem that nobody sells. Usually someone sells when it's multiple siblings who inherited it and they can't agree, and it sells. 5 houses down from this. It's our slice of heaven. And by the way, I just wrote an offer. I'm sharing this with anybody. I just wrote an offer on the 14 acres that backs up to it, and we'll also add another 65 third frontage to my lake. I only share that because this has been my heart's desire and dream since I was a child, the last 9 years.
So here's the fun part. We all get to hear the stories of where these successful people are today. And I think what happens is we see the successes and we say, hey, I want to be where they're at. I want to have that kind of lifestyle. I want to live that kind of life. I want to have those freedoms and those opportunities. And yet, what are the sacrifices? What did it take in your world, Lucas, to get to this point?
Yeah, I'll preface this, guys. Don't compare where I am now, because this is years into my goal planning and hard work. I made that mistake years ago, and God put me in check, had a reality check. I needed to put that hard work in up front. But I'm one of those cheesy people that right next to my computer right here, I have small bits and pieces of my goal written. It's in front of me. My kids know our goals. They see them on the walls. We include them in it. I'm held accountable in so many different ways to plug in. I constantly challenge myself to achieve my goals. Nope, I'm not perfect. I fail every single day. In fact, if you join our team, I'm like, hey, you guys, exciting. You're about to join a hot mess. We're a hot mess at a high level, but we are a hot mess, I promise you, and you're going to see it. Having said that, every single day, we're working towards becoming a better version of ourselves as a unit, our systems, our lead gen, one of our departments currently right now, we're turning upside down. We've had some level of success. I believe it can be better. We believe it can be better. So constantly analyzing those. I mean, I hate to say it, we all hear, hey, do a 411, 135 and plan out your goals and do it. How many are doing it regularly? How many are revisiting it? How many are willing to find the accountability to focus long term? It's so easy to focus on the right now. So easy to focus on the right now and focus on, hey, there's no inventory in my market. Oh, that stinks. My business is down and wish I had some of my inventory. Rather than have a mindset shift and focus on what can I do to get that inventory? What can I do? Even a tiny, those letters, I know you guys had to look at it and go, that's stupid. That's 2 sentences. I mean, small pivots, small add-ons. What can you do differently to add on and increase your territory and thus reach your goals and whatever those goals fund for you?
So what I trust y'all are hearing, we're not talking about huge shifts. We're talking about going back to some of the simple basics, right? It's reaching out to the database. It's having those conversations. It's putting together a silly letter that's 2 sentences long that says, hey, I've got a bunch of buyers. Are you willing to sell, or who do you know that is? And taking that little bit of a risk that may, let's be real, it may make us look silly, and yet being willing to take that little bit of a risk to create massive results. And when we talk about lifestyle, here's the challenge I would give you all. I mean, we're at the beginning of the year. If you look forward 5, 7, 10 years from now, what's the lifestyle you would choose to live? Just like what Lucas did. He knows what that lifestyle is in 10 years. And then work it backwards. What are the activities that need to be done every day to achieve that goal and to achieve that lifestyle? Because here's the flip side. If we have that conviction, and I know that I've got to set 1 appointment a day or 1 appointment a week to achieve that lifestyle, I'm not going to let that day or that week end until I've hit that number. Because if I do, all I'm doing is pushing down the road the lifestyle I choose to live, or I may never receive it. It's such a powerful statement. So take some time and figure that piece out for you, for your family. You know, Lucas mentions our place up in Keystone. That was 12 years in the making. We started investing in 2008, and now we were able to use that equity and the money that we've earned from our investments to buy this VRBO, which, by the way, last month we netted $6,000 out as a profit. It's a great thing when it starts to pay for itself. So what other last minute kind of pieces of advice would you give us, Lucas? I mean, we're in a tight inventory market just like you are. Obviously, our price point's higher. We've got multiple offers coming out. Typically, we're seeing properties move within the first few days, especially in our area. What advice would you give us?
Get there first. Find a way to get there first. That's it. That inventory is out there. It may be low. That inventory is out there. Someone's grabbing that territory. Find it first. Get it there first. And how can you do it? I mean, that circle prospecting script, I mean, I ran through with Jake. That was pretty simple. Find a way to get there first in a tight inventory. And being in 17 years, it'll eventually shift back. This is a right now. And again, I always ask, how long do you be planning on being in this business? If you're answering for the rest of your career, what are you willing to do now to get to this next shift or balance or whatever else? Get there first and find out. Be creative. Play with things, tweak, but put it in your calendar and do it.
Well, because this didn't happen for you overnight, right? This has been a journey. Remind us again, how long have you been in the business?
Licensed 17 years. It's not fair. I owned 3 other businesses, and real estate was never a focus. If somebody came by, I used to build homes too. So if somebody came by, I'd sell them a home or something. But 2012, in 2012, 36 homes. All I did was call A to Z in my database over and over and over again.
So what are your ahas? We've had the opportunity to listen to Lucas here for a little bit. What are you all taking away from this? What are the action steps that you're going to move forward with? Feel free to put them in the chat. You can unmute yourselves. Share with us. What are you hearing? Simplify. Very true. Keep it simple. Perfection kills prosperity. That's a great one, right?
Two things. Success is simple but not easy, and the difficulty is being consistent. If you can simplify the consistency, you've got it made. And that's the overarching message that I've gotten today is just doing the easy things, the hard things that seem easy consistently.
Well, and even for you guys, Franco, up in Summit County, this is a process with the second home buyers, with the folks like myself, where if you do these simple pieces, you guys will crush it.
Well, absolutely.
You'll crush it. You know, it's
we're short on inventory, but I just broke down some data.
Rich put in their action.
Looking at the data, it's the same thing in secondary markets. Connecting with people, they have the same sales like 2 to 6 years. So consistently reaching out to them. It's a little bit more challenging to reach those people, but if you can figure out a way to do it, you can make it happen.
Very much so. Sean puts in there that you can leverage your buyers, right? List your buyers and then leverage those buyer listings to go get more listings. You know, don't be afraid to get to the point and just ask the question. Sometimes it's just a matter of saying, hey, I've got buyers. Are you willing to sell? Is now the right time? You know, in our world, we've set up the agents with Homeward. So for those folks who may be afraid to sell today because they don't know what they're going to buy, you have a solution. And if you're not familiar with what Homeward is and what that does for you, grab Amber, grab Anna, grab Amy, grab Donna. They can answer those questions for you. For those of you up in Summit, if you don't have access, let me know. We'll get you guys connected so you guys can have access for the same programs. It's all about the database. Ricky Gare says, stop complaining and pivot the perspective. Robin.
Yeah, Lucas, I really appreciate everything. And my question is, when you said you started calling people over and over and over again in your database, which I do, I'm curious what you said to them.
Now or 2012 or both?
2012 and now.
You're not too different. I'll let you on a little more of a secret. I was a chicken. I love people, but my coach was like, just call everybody over and over again. There's no need for you to buy any systems or do anything else. And I said, okay. The third person I called or kind of called in 2000 was, we'll call him Tom Ford. I was like, ooh, I don't know if Tom's going to want to hear from me. And I just heard about NAP. It was slide dial, I'd go right to their voicemail. And then there was another Tom Ford and then another Tom Ford, all within the first 3 days. And I left a message for those terms, cheating via slide dial. And I'm telling you how I got that monkey off my back. Because this was similar to what I did when I didn't get a hold of somebody, Robin. Hey, Tom, this is Lucas Howard. You know, I'm just driving down the road. You know, you popped in my brain, so I just wanted to reach out. No, there's no need to call me back. I just want to let you know you popped in my brain. I hope all is well. What do you think Tom Ford or the Tom Fords that week did? Every single one of them called me back. What conversations did we have? Robin, I guarantee if I got on the phone, in 5 minutes and had a conversation, I'm going to get to know some things about you. We're going to have a great, delightful conversation. We may or may not talk real estate, but I 100% guarantee if I'm calling and checking in on you, Robin, you're always going to say, how about you, Lucas? How are you? I'm not an in-your-face guy. I'm just not. So my response was simply, you know what? My life is blessed. My business is blessed. Like back then was getting into real estate. Getting into real estate has enabled me to go to Donuts for Dads with my kids this week where I couldn't my last business. And that could be it. But what usually happens? Well, how is the market? How is this? I never went into it. That was, more of that Ford. I cared more about them. They always asked about me, and I'm not going to lie. You know what? Even though I was struggling back then, my life was still blessed. Not a lie. And a lot of it was because I was in real estate or got into real estate.
Thank you.
Lynette, you had your hand up. What questions do you have? So here's the question I have, and it's the last one. Two things. Number one, what's your affirmation, Lucas? What do you say in the morning, and how does that help you? Number two, if you were in Denver, if you were operating in our market, what would be the first thing you would do if you were to transition into our market?
Ooh, good question. So first, the IST, Ishmael's question on what was Lucas's affirmation again, which I didn't clarify for you earlier. It's a lot longer. However, when it starts, it was, as I told you, opportunity, I'm an opportunity magnet. It comes my way. However, I realized real quick that my wife and I need to change that, and is the right opportunities come my way at the right time. And should I choose to, I have the funds or the ability to fund those opportunities at the appropriate time. So we tweaked that, and guess what started happening? It's amazing what you attract. The funds and the right opportunities started coming at the right time. I'm a believer. The rest, honestly, I go into my health. I have 4 bulging discs. Always believe in healing and correction there. And the rest is my family and business. But that's how I tweaked that part of my affirmation in the morning.
And then if you were to come to Colorado, brand spanking new,
Yep.
what would you focus on? And what would you do? What would be your first steps?
This is good. And I don't know how many new agents are here. I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to lead that. Because when I talk to new agents you are a part of a team, all of you. And I believe this is 2 market centers, right?
Yeah, there's 3 of us.
You are a team. It's we. And I'll preface this because when I moved to KW, I moved to what was called the North Office. It was a side of town I'd never worked. And in that office, they were all Rockford agents. I had done maybe 1 or 2 deals in Rockford. In fact, they're like, "Why are you here?" Some of the associates asked me. I was like, 1, that determined me to get market share in that area, which I'll lead to answering your question. And 2, the first thing I did was look up the office stats and found out, well, hey, in Rockford, we had 52% market share because we were Rockford dominating agents. So again, use those local stats. If I was coming to your market center and I had no market share, I'm going to learn our team's language, which is your office or offices. What are their stats? What percentage of ownership do they have? That's the language I'm going to speak on those appointments. And to get those appointments, again, cost effective, I'm going to probably door knock first. I thought I was brilliant when I came to KW and I hadn't taken Ignite yet, and I ran the math. In fact, I moved to this side of town and I thought, I want a farm of 1,000 households. And I picked out the neighborhoods, and I thought I was brilliant. And later I took Ignite and I'm like, ooh, that was in there. I probably heard it somewhere. But I mapped out bi-weekly how to go door knock and reach 1,000 people in a year. Now you take that, 52, divide that between how many weeks? What is that, 22, 23 weeks? And then take that further of, what does that come to? 33 doors every other week at an average of 3 minutes a door. You know, I'm rushing off. We actually have this plan on our wall now. That's nothing. In a year, I've reached 1,000 doors. I've gotten to 1,000 people. That's one aspect. It's free. It's just your time and your action. And I would probably circle prospect and go work open houses. Having said that, market's a little different, but if I was coming in without buying leads, without doing that stuff, those are the first things I would do. Because prospecting, door knocking, and all that is going to get me in front of those people that are future hand raisers and take territory.
So this is a little personal placation. I'll go there. As a bold coach, how many times has your team taken bold?
Rick, who's been with me for 7 years, and might been KW 5 years. I think Rick's, his next one will be his 7th. Josh, 4 at least. Daryl, maybe even 5. I don't know if there's anybody that's taken it less than about that, because they've all been with me about that period of time.
So even though you've got all this success, all this growth, you're this huge team, what keeps you guys going back to a simple class like bold?
Why should you role play every single day? It's mastery. It's here. I told you I've been licensed for 17 years. I've been in real estate full time since 2012. And hey, guess what? Not at mastery in all areas yet. It's sharpening your tools. It's honing in. We still, Jake, one of my guys still goes to Lansing, which is 45 minutes east of us, and takes it. And guess who gets the most referrals from Lansing? He does. You know, having said that, it's a reality check. You know, why do I go back? Hey, I heard Gary Keller. I'm blessed to be in his mastermind. I heard Gary Keller and I took amazing notes, and I read those notes I wrote from that amazing man's mouth, why do I go back and revisit those same notes multiple times or year over year, which I happen to have one right here, a Gary Keller notebook. Oh, can't see it. Where I was just reviewing notes from 2 years ago. Sharpen my tools. I don't know it all. Guarantee I'm going to pick up something that I didn't in the last time. Hey, I've been on, I personally, my record is taking 110 listings myself, just myself. No, I didn't even have an assistant then. This is 2016, I think. Why did I still practice my listing presentation with someone else constantly? Guarantee there's a way to get better.
100%. So as we wrap up today, here's my challenge to y'all. Number one, thank you, Lucas, for your time. If you'd like to see what they do and how they operate, follow him on Facebook. Go check him out. They do a great job of what we talked about today. Number two, I would go back through your notes. Pick one action item, one thing you could do today before the end of this day so that you could go out and pick up a listing this week, next week, and every week thereafter. So what's the one action item you could take away that would make the biggest difference in your business? With that, thank you tons, Lucas. I am honored to be one of your friends. I call you a friend. I know you and your wife.
Hey, brother.
Incredible people. So thank you for joining us today and pouring into my folks. If there's anything I can ever do to support you, we're here for you.
Appreciate you all.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks for
again,
joining
Lucas.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make it great, y'all.
Thank you.